All right, hello everyone. So I wanted to make a little video for you, brief video about a few lines to kind of get us ready for class tomorrow. So we're going to start on 450. We know we're in the underworld here, and Aeneas sees Dido. So if we start here with inter quas phonisa recens avonere Dido erabat silva in magna. We know that this is your subject, Phoenician Dido, right? So Phonisa, feminine adjective Phoenician, and Dido, the nominative subject. And also, this is nominative as well, right? So two adjectives describing Dido. She's Phoenician and she's fresh. So obviously she's fresh into the underworld because she didn't die that long ago, and obviously the wound is still fresh. And we talked about the differences between both the physical wound of the stabbing inflicted upon herself, and also the wound, the figurative wound of Aeneas's betrayal, departure, whatever you want to label it. Interquas is just a prepositional phrase here, right? So you have among whom the quas are like he sees a bunch of umbras. So umbra here is like ghost or shade. So among whom Phoenician Dido, fresh from a wound, avonere, right? Just an ablative object of avonere. Fresh from a wound was wandering, erabat, where? In a large wood, in a vast forest. And now the next part gets a little bit more kind of tricky, but we'll obviously talk about it in class. So the subject is going to be this Troius heros. Heros, that os, it's a Greek loan word. So os, when you learn Greek at some point, I hope, is the equivalent of like a us nominative singular second declension in Latin, right? Whom the Trojan hero, i.e. Aeneas, right? Quam, relative pronoun, whom the Trojan hero ut primum. So remember, we saw ut primum in book, I think it was book 4, right? When Mercury, the Chelenian, comes down. It said like as soon as he touched the Magalia with his plantis, if you remember that line, right? So whom the nominative Trojan hero, as soon as he stood next to Yuxta, right? So quam is going to be functioning two different ways here. One, an accusative object of Yuxta, and two, as a direct object of agnovit, right? So as soon as the Trojan hero stood next to that one, remember, relatives in the very beginning of a clause or a sentence could be just demonstrative. The Trojan hero, as soon as he stood yuxtaquam next to her, that one, this one, right, and agnovided, and noticed that one quam, that one obscuram, like blurry, obscured, per umbras, through the shades. So I guess the image is there's a lot of ghosts, and he's able to notice her, right? He stands next to her and notices her. That's the agnovit, perfect tense. And noticed the obscure one, the shady one, the hard to see one, through the accusative umbras. Qualem. Just as. This is one of the hardest bits here, right? Qualem. So now he's describing how he saw her. The qualem is an adjective describing Dido. So he noticed the obscure one just as he who qui, just as qui, just as he who, or one who, videt, he who sees, videt, sees, out, either sees or putat, thinks that So this is going to start an indirect statement, right? Or thinks that he has seen, vidisse, or thinks he had seen, right? This is your infinitive here, right? The subject accusative is not there, right? So you have to kind of assume that it's there, right? Meaning like the he. So qualem, just as he who out either sees or putat thinks that he, which isn't there in the accusative, thinks that he has seen, the lunam, the accusative moon, per nubila, through the clouds. It really means like mists. If it were just clouds would be per nubes. That's a cloud itself. Nubila are like cloud-like things, so it's like mists. So you get this imagery of the underworld. Through the clouds, or thinks that he sees, or thinks that he has seen the moon through the clouds, surgere, rising, primo mense, at the beginning of the month, right? At the earlier part of the month. So like a new moon. So let me clean that up for you, because I know I just gave you a lot of text here, right? So just like a little bit of a clean translation. So, among whom Phoenician Dido, fresh from a wound, was wandering in a large forest. The Trojan hero, as soon as he stepped, stood next to Quam, that one, and recognized, agnovided, that one, through the clouds, noted that through the clouds, the obscuram, the blurry one, right? Like he can't really notice, or the obscure one. Just as qui, which is the subject of the videt and the putat, right? Just as that nominative, just as he who, qualem, just as he who either sees or thinks that he has seen, the lunam, the moon through the mists, surgere, rising, thinks that he sees the moon to rise, right? An infinitive, when at the ablative beginning of the month, meaning it's like a new moon. It's like when people are trying to notice the moon through the clouds here, right? So as soon as this happens, now we're on to line 455, demisit. He lets down lacrimas. He lets down tears. Very interesting verb usage. This is the same verb that was used when we were describing Aeneas. It was used, I think, participially. The lena, right? Remember the fancy cloak was sent down or draped from his shoulders, right? Umaris. So he sent immediately, ut prima, as soon as all this stuff happened, as soon as he noticed her, he demisit lacrimas. He sent down tears, ke, and what else does he do? Ad fatus est, deponent verb, you see right here, right? And he addressed, i.e. her, which isn't there, and he addressed dolci amore, both ablative, right? With sweet love. Now, we could debate whether this is an honest love or not, and we did kind of have a little bit of a discussion about this on Tuesday when we were, doing our English questions and analysis. Does he really love her or not? So with sweet love. And now if we scroll down, I just want to do a few more lines here. Now, this is a quote. This is Aeneas speaking to Dido. In Felix Dido, vocative. In Felix, well, we're going to talk about and try to figure out what's the best translation. It means like unlucky, unfortunate, wretched, unhappy. It could mean, right? So we'll go through a dictionary entry and try to figure out what our best translation is. unhappy Dido um, literally the verus true, had a true message venera come mihi to me datively. Oh, unhappy Dido had pluperfectly a true message, ergo therefore, just like a conjunction, therefore come to me that. This is introducing an indirect statement. So truth coming is almost like a verb of the head, right? So one thing we have to note here is that extinctam and secutam both should have essays at the end of them, right? So extinctam being a perfect passive participle, secutam being a perfect active participle because it's deponent, right? And then the subject accusative here is not listed. It's just like in the prior one. It's not here explicitly. It's te, right? So your unhappy Dido vocative had a true message. Therefore, come to me that you, which is not there, that you extinctam, that you have been extinguished, right? That you have destroyed, that you have been blown out, that you have been destroyed, right? Right. So we see the verb here, just a normal non-deponent, right? So it's passive. That you have been destroyed. And notice it's feminine singular, right? So the and the tell you it's about Dido. That you have been destroyed, ke, and that you have followed, that you have pursued, sakutam, right, from sequar, that you have pursued extrema, the accusative plural last things, final things, ferro, by means of iron, i.e. with a sword. And then this last question here, which we can debate whether he honestly doesn't know it or not. Hey, you, alas, was I, fui, alas, was I the causa, the cause, was I equivalent to being the nominative cause, funeris, of a genitive funeral, tibi, for you. And then I'll cap it here so we don't make the video too long, and we'll review these lines and go through them tomorrow in class, and then we can get into this his swearing about him not going voluntarily. All right, hopefully this has been helpful for you, and obviously we'll go through these lines tomorrow in class, or some of them, most of them tomorrow in class. Keep yourself safe, keep washing your hands. I miss being in real class with you guys, but that's a testament to how great you guys are that we could still do Virgil together, and hopefully you're still learning the Latin and the poem and everything. So, I will speak to you tomorrow, fifth period. Hopefully you had a good Wednesday and you got to meet with some of your clubs and whatnot. All right. I'll hear from you tomorrow.